Okay.
All right, so what are we talking about today?
Okay.
Get into it.
We're talking about all the stuff. So first of all, for people that don't know who you are, give everyone a rundown of who Ariel Scarcella is. I already announced you as the most hated lesbian on YouTube, but
Pretty much.
yeah.
Um, well, I think that at least by the left, I would say I'm the most hated lesbian. I was once the most loved lesbian because I've been the longest running lesbian YouTube channel at the like I have been for the last few years. I've been making videos about LGBT stuff since 2009.
Wow.
And I only got into politics over the last 2 years because I couldn't help not talk about it anymore. You know, it got to a point where anything that progressives and leftists, whatever you want to call them, anything from that side that they were spewing, any information, any ideologies, they just weren't making sense to me anymore, and I needed to speak out against it because it went against my morals, it went against my own beliefs, you know, like what being LGBT even is and why it's important to classify it and make sure it's different than simply just being like dressing differently, you know.
Yeah.
Because now we have these little young kids running around talking about what queer is, and it's like, would you really lick a vagina though? Would you really, you know? It's like, okay, you're not queer then, okay. I remember the day that I knew I needed to like actually come out and say that I was no longer identifying or even just hanging out with people from the left was I'm actually going to Vegas in 2 weeks to hang out with my friend Tara.
Lucky.
Who is, yeah, she's awesome. Tara Babcock. She's another YouTuber. Sounds like a porn star name, but is not. She's got the awesome name though. I remember I was supposed to meet her the first time 2 years ago. And when we finally met in person, she didn't know me that well, but we were like, you know, like friends online. She's like, I'm so glad that you're not one of those crazy leftist lesbians, blah, 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 blah. Like, I'm so glad, da, da, da. And I was like, what made you think that I was? And she's like, well, you had an LGBT flag in your bio. And I was like, oh my God, is that all that it takes these days? Sorry, my allergies are bad. Excuse me. And I was like, oh my God, is that all that it takes these days? Is just simply have like the little rainbow flag in there. And like, I think I had women empowerment, yeah, or women positive, whatever, something. And it was bad. I was like, no, I cannot be associated with these people anymore. I have to grow up, and I'm going to lose brands. I'm going to lose friends, but you know, hopefully things get better, and hopefully I'll make new friends and have new sponsors. And it took about 5 days to get a lot of support from that video that I made. Like, it started going, quote, viral right away, but people weren't reaching out to me about the video right away.
Yeah.
And people like Rob Schneider, believe it or not, J.K. Rowling, some pretty famous people started reaching out to me. And I was like, okay, I made the right decision. Even if I don't get brands and I'm making less money, I'm hitting the right audience, and I'm hitting people that are sane and that are smart. And this is where I'm supposed to be moving forward. Yeah. I just couldn't do it anymore.
I think that you made a really great move, and you're doing great. From what I see, you're doing lots of things, and I'm like, look at you go. But what you just said is very important to a lot of these people that latch on to this sort of like LGBT movement or whatever the hell this is. And it's that it's such bad publicity for the entire demographic of people that are lesbians or gay or whatever, because you can just put an emoji in your profile and now you're labeled as like a crazy. And I hear that all the time. Whenever, like, I had a conversation with Blair Way in particular, and all of the comments that I got was like, thank you for having this conversation. I was starting to think all trans people were crazy.
Yep, and it's true.
Why would you want to be associated as a crazy person?
Yeah, Blair and I are like the queens of damage control, and you as well.
I guess to some degree.
You for Black people and me for lesbians.
Yeah, there we go. We just tick off the boxes. It's excellent.
But it's true. It's true. We need people like that. Like, we need people like you and the Hodge twins and Candace Owens. Even if I don't agree with everything they say, a lot of what they say makes sense.
Yeah, you know? Absolutely.
Even if I might not agree with it fully, it's like, okay, I can see like where they're coming from, that perspective, and they're not trying to cancel people just because they think differently.
Yeah,
that's my main thing. We can disagree all you want, like we said in the beginning of the stream. Why can't we just sit down and have conversations anymore? People aren't capable of it. And that's a sign of a weak country. It really is.
Absolutely. It's an emotionally weak country where people can't have conversations. And, you know, I said this last time because I spoke to you like I think it was like 2020 on my other podcast that I used to do. And I said to you back then, when I was searching for, topics that I wanted to talk about, I found a lot of articles about you. And the same thing happened today. I was looking for pictures to make the thumbnail, and article after article just slandering you. And I'm like, I wonder how many of these writers actually reached out to you to have a conversation.
Not one. Not one.
That's
Literally
crazy.
Not one.
That is crazy to me.
I mean, it's mainly, from what I know, it's mainly the LGBT sites. Correct me if I'm wrong, right?
Yeah.
It's all supposed LGBT sites that harass me.
Right.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing about it is that the rhetoric from like this LGBT movement is that LGBT folks are marginalized and they're like a protected class. They need to be protected. And then they also, I usually hear that hate speech is something that's harmful towards LGBT people, but they have no issues being hateful towards someone that essentially fits in that demographic.
Yeah, but it's not about being gay. It's about completely agreeing with everything that they say.
Oh yeah.
Like I have my friend David, Brokeback Patriot, on Instagram. He's been deleted like 6 times. I don't even know what his tag is, his thing is anymore. But it's Brokeback Patriot something. He went with our friend Rogan to, I believe it was St. Petersburg Pride in Florida. I think it was 2 years ago when Trump was still in office. And Rogan held a sign that said something like "Stop bullying gay Republicans," or gay. I think it said "Stop bullying gay Trump supporters," and he was getting a ton of crap. Hold on, I gotta let my cat in. She's
That's fine.
Yes.
That's fine.
Come on,
man, my cat was licking the pans earlier. Little shit.
Yeah, she's a pain in the ass. But yeah, like he was getting a ton of shit for that, and my friend, my friend Rogan called it out. He was like, "I'm not even gay, and I see how much your own community is hateful towards you."
Yeah.
No wonder why people that even disagree slightly are being thrown all the way to the right. It's like leftists don't want, like, what do they say? The left eats its own.
Oh yeah.
It can't. There is not a truer statement in my opinion.
Oh yeah. And you know what's interesting too, because after I walked away, I started going down the rabbit hole and I found your content. Actually, I think you found me. It was the other way around.
Yes, I did. I found a video that you made. I think it was your video about leaving the left.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe it was the video that it was called like why I voted for Trump or something like that.
One of those.
But I found you and I was like, I love this girl. I tweeted your video out and hopefully that helped you.
It did. I remember it. And what's interesting is that I'll constantly get people that'll say, why don't you have a conversation with the other side? As if they're telling me to have a conversation with the other side. It's like, well, I am the other side. I was from there. What are you talking about?
Right, exactly.
And it always blows my mind because people don't consider how you got to the position where you are now. You didn't just magically just wake up one day and say, I'm right wing. Like that's not what happened.
Right, exactly.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, like we were, it's a very, and I had a conversation with, I can't say their name, but somebody last week who's a very important person, member of the ex-president's family, we'll just say.
Okay.
And yeah, I'll tell you offline. But yes, they were basically saying it's weird because it's somewhere down the line over the last 10 years, the parties started to switch. Like what used to be Democrats and I can't even say Democrats, what used to be progressives and leftists years ago was don't tell me what to do with my body, don't tell me how to live my life, leave me alone. And now that's what Republicans and conservatives are saying. So is it really us that changed? Or is it just the name of the party that we're under changed? We have the same beliefs and same morals. It just took us a second to be like, wait a second. What these people on the left are saying now don't align with my values at all anymore. Right. And that sucks because we're afraid of what's going to happen once we leave. That's just, I mean, part of it also, because of course, like the whole show is called The Grift, right? You and I are called grifters all the time. And I feel like if you look at both of our catalog of videos and content, it makes sense, right? Like you said, you start going down the rabbit hole and then you're like, oh my God, everything's making sense. For me, part of that making sense was moving down to Florida. Right around 2018, we moved down here. My mom and I moved down and I started making more conservative friends, right? I started seeing why the Second Amendment was more important. I never saw that in New York City. Yeah. So if you look at my timeline, it makes sense. But of course, people are going to always be like, oh, she's a grifter. She just decided to just do this one day. It's like, yes, it's exactly what happened. Yeah, absolutely. I was happy to lose hundreds of friends and lose not hundreds of thousands, but maybe a few tens of thousands of supporters, I would say.
Yeah.
At least. Oh yeah, at least tens of thousands of followers. I lost my management company, 2 of them. I lost brand deals. So yeah, I mean, but it was worth it. I really do think it was worth it, even if I wasn't, back up in the rankings, so to speak, because I was low in the view count for a while, and then it took me about a year to find that. I don't even know what you'd call it. Just to find
the sweet spot
for people. Yeah,
Something like
find
that.
the sweet spot, or I was going to say for people to find me again. Maybe.
Yeah.
It takes a while.
I think that and that's the beauty of it, because like what I'm doing now is totally different from what I did on Twitch, but I actually feel fulfilled doing this because I feel like I'm connecting with people and I'm helping people, and I think that you should feel a lot of pride in what you do, because I'll see the chat right now, a lot of people are like, she woke me up, and it's true, it's really true. So but yeah, I didn't sign up for this abuse. I didn't sign up to have my friends just stop being friends with me and lose sponsorships. You got demonetized a lot on YouTube. Are you still demonetized? 3 times.
No, I'm monetized again now.
Wow, that's crazy.
3 times in the last year, which is why my management company dropped me.
Wow.
Because they were like, we can't help you anymore. You're a fucking lost cause.
That's crazy.
I was like, well, it's not like I'm. The funny thing is, they kept saying that it was sexual content, but that sexual content was over a year old.
Right.
So I'm like, why are you coming for me now when this was a year ago?
Yeah, they're just looking for something to take you down.
Fishy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
that's the problem.
Well, you can't. So sorry, y'all. You're stuck with her. Oh man. So let me see. When you first walked away, do you remember the first instance, like the first bit of rhetoric or the first thing you saw that you were like, okay, this is bad? Like, do you remember what that was?
After I walked away? Like after I publicly walked away?
Or the thing that made you want to walk away?
There's many things. Political wise, I would say my friend, believe it or not, my friend who's a not a Hasidic Jew, but he's definitely religious, and he's a Jewish guy. He came to me one day. We played paddleball. It's like one wall racquetball in New York City. We played this game called paddleball. He came to me one day and we were talking about politics and whatever. And this was when Trump was still in office. And he came to me and he's like, oh, what do you think about Trump? And I was like, I don't like him. Da-da-da. He's like, why? And I was like, oh, like, wait a second. I literally didn't know, but it was true. I didn't know why. And I was like, wait a second. Like, why do I not know why I don't like somebody? That's not normal.
Right.
And he stopped me in my tracks. And I wasn't like one of those people that was like, oh, I'm not going to answer. I don't have to answer. It wasn't like that, because I'm not the kind of person. I was like, hold on a second. Like, why am I feeling this way? What made me get to this point? And he's like, because and he told me, he's like, listen, like, do you watch the media? And I was like, no, I don't really watch, because I really didn't watch TV, but I did watch a ton of left-wing YouTubers and people like that. And I wasn't giving, I was friends with exactly one lesbian Republican, and I would never judge her, and I still don't, because we're still friends, but I never took the time to see their side of things. And I didn't really care to until 2 of my really good friends red pilled the hell out of me. which was right after I came out as leaving the left, but more so I left the left because there was a lot of, and this is gonna get a little spiritual here.
Okay.
I was feeling familiar, and let me explain that. I say that meaning I have been in a ton of abusive relationships over the last 15 years of my life, all with women, which is annoying. And it started, like, my relationship with these people started feeling like that. And I felt that the familiarity of that, is that the word? That's what I say? It felt familiar, but it did not feel comfortable, which was not good. And I was like, okay, why am I watching what I'm saying? Why am I not allowed to hang out with certain people? Why am I only allowed to talk about certain things? And I can't talk about gender if I'm not trans. And I can't talk about women because I'm not a trans. Like, this, none of this is making sense to me. I have a video coming out about this, how the left is a cult, and and I've made a video in the past talking about how abusive they are. If you look at a chart, there was a chart on emotional abuse. It's like a circle, and it's like a pie chart. Every single thing that's on that chart, that's typically, made for when people are talking about relationships, right? Are tactics the far leftists use to control other people, or to control people that they feel are, I was going to say people that are in their community, but also people that are not in the community. They're trying to control everybody, right?
Yeah.
And that was what woke me up more than anything, is it started to feel, I started seeing red flags. And I was like, this is a familiar feeling and I don't like it. And it's a lesson that I've learned before and I'm done learning it. I'm not going to learn it again. So it's time to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just got into, watching the Hodge twins and, even more of Blair White. I've watched her for years. Ben Shapiro and all these people. And I was like, let me actually see what the right has to say. Like, do they actually hate gays? No, it turns out they don't. They don't. They don't. And I posted something on Instagram today, the one you used, the picture you used.
I love that picture. Love it.
It's great, right?
Yep.
There's a place in Orlando that has like a photo shoot, like 6 like walls that you can go and take pictures of. Except that was like a blank picture, a blank thing, and I just photoshopped the words on.
Oh, I thought you were just carrying around a sign like that. Like,
I know,
time
right?
for my photo shoot.
Well, it depends on what happens and what I want to say, and then I'll just Photoshop it on.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it took me, I would say, I've been out like for 2 years now, and I still get called racist, homophobic, sexist, transphobic, of course, every 5 minutes. I feel like that's probably the most common thing I get called is transphobic. Meanwhile, I hate saying that I have trans friends things because that's like saying I have black friends. I'm not racist. Like I understand, but at the same time, the only reason these people are calling me transphobic is because a very small subset of the trans community disagrees with what I say.
Correct. Yes.
That's it.
Yeah. And I say the same exact thing. I have trans friends. And the point being, if you're saying that this issue is related to trans issue, then should not you care about the opinion of these trans people? And if the answer is no, then don't say that you're advocating for trans people. You're advocating for
leftist agenda.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is fine, but then say that.
And then just say that.
Just say that.
It's
Stop making it about. Stop using people as tokens to further your agenda.
Precisely.
And yeah. Just be real. We're from New York. I'm from New York.
Oh, I heard that accent. I'm just from New York.
I know. I forced it that time.
I see.
New York like that.
New York.
I'll say that. New York.
Man, my story is very similar because I had some severe Trump derangement syndrome. I often talk about it. And it was the same thing where I did not know why I hated Trump. All I know is that
I didn't hate him, but I didn't like him, and I didn't know why.
You seemed a lot more reasonable than I was.
My point was like, you've come way further, so I'm proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
Like, you had to do a lot of inner healing and like figuring out like why did I
Yeah.
You come a lot further, girl.
Yeah. And it's just
did it.
And it's like now when I see people are still talking about Trump and I'm like, yo, he's out of office. What do you like? Do you have hobbies? Do you have a job? Like what? I don't understand. Yeah. Really, really weird. Everyone
blaming him for everything.
Everyone, if you have a question for Ariel, please drop them in the chat and I will be sure to ask her. I actually got a question right now for you, if you don't mind.
Let's go.
All right. Well, this is actually kind of a question and statement from EF. So what you're saying is embrace the angry lesbian inside and speak freely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Listen, angry lesbians get the same bad rep that angry black women get. So
yeah, exactly.
I don't think it's about being angry. I think it's about being precise and making sense. And if somebody takes that as an angry energy, then that's on them. But I don't think I ever come off as angry. I think I come off as truth seeking.
Yeah.
At least that's what I'm trying to do.
And you're very reasonable. Like I watch all of your videos and I'm like, I don't understand why everyone is so upset with you about this. And it just, I don't know. It really just, it breaks my heart to see how vicious people can be towards someone that they don't even know online. It's right. It sucks.
Oh yeah. Like look at Buck Angel.
Oh yeah. All the time.
He is one of the original, and he's, in his words, trannies. Mm-hmm. You know, he's one of the original transsexual men that made the community what it is. You know, he was one of the first people to have a quote sex change, and he's an amazing mentor in my opinion, a good guy. And people, the kids, it's always kids, by the way, like these little 15-year-old kids running around thinking they know everything that are like abusive, like verbally abusive harassment, like verbal harassment. It's bad.
How do you think it got that way?
I think it started with everybody talking about like mental health issues, which I was a part of, and I've talked about that a lot on my channel. And I think the more people were honest about their feelings, the more people felt vulnerable and were like, oh, we're not going to touch that. We can listen, but we can't critique it. We can't touch it. And I think it just snowballed from there. Because I remember people started talking about mental health stuff around 2013. It became like a big thing on YouTube with all these tags and stuff. And I think, yeah, I think it just snowballed. I think it's also the generation of participation trophies, as I call it. For some reason, and my brother's only 3 years younger than I am, I saw growing up for some reason, those 3 years made a big difference. Like I remember I was on a softball team. Yay! I know. I was on a softball team one year. We lost every single game, like every game. And at the end of the year, my coach sat us down. We had like a end of the year dinner with our friends and like on the team. We all were terrible except me. I was like the best one on the team. And he sat us down and he literally said, "Y'all sucked. There's no trophies." And we're like, "You right." Like that was it. Like we imagine that happened today.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't do that. That's harmful. Mm-mm.
We knew. We were like, "Yeah, we sucked. We know." But we had fun though.
Yeah. It's
like
seriously, I don't
like we didn't expect it. We didn't want it. We didn't need it.
yeah.
That's not what it was about. It was about like getting out there, having fun, like trying your best. You know, I mean, they did stack the other teams. So that was why it was unfair. Because they were like the traveling team when they got like they got the 3 windmill pitchers and we had no windmill pitchers. It was stupid. A lot of politics, even in softball. But yeah, I've noticed that happening more and more over the years, I would say. And
Yeah.
it's killing, like you said, it's killing conversation. It's killing just any form of disagreeing. Like you can't even be like, well, I kind of like, no, you say that and you're like you're outcast.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Oh, totally. I think
And that's not normal and healthy. Like how are we going to expect people to learn and grow if we don't allow them to learn and grow?
that's
even if
the
that
question.
Even if that means not learning and growing the way you want them to.
Right. Right.
Because your path isn't the same as everybody else's path.
Correct. And I think that for me, it took me a while to come to the realization that I guess maybe I'm just naive or just oblivious to this. I didn't realize there was a severe mental health crisis as much as it is right now. And
you're getting on TikTok. There's kids faking DID disorders. It's really bad.
It's so bad. And I remember one of the it was like one video me and you collaborated on, and you had in the video that you sent me, you mentioned something about people flaunting their mental illnesses on their social media profile. And when I got the video from you, I was talking to my boyfriend. I was like, I don't know if I should put this. I don't know what she's talking about. And then after a few months afterwards, I was like, oh, this is what she was talking about.
Started seeing it, right?
I started seeing it. You go on TikTok, it's mental illness. It's everywhere.
TikTok and Tumblr. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't even know Tumblr still existed, so that's news to me.
For people that aren't on TikTok, I guess. For people that don't want to show their faces on TikTok, they're on Tumblr still.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's bad, and you know why they do it, right?
Why? Educate me.
Well, you know why. Well, I mean, I was just saying that. Like, I was offering you the win there. They do it because why go for self accountability when you can just call everyone racist or mental illnessist,
right?
or whatever it was, or homophobic or sex. Like, it's just diverting the opportunity for them to learn, because it is an opportunity and it's a good thing to learn. They don't want to learn the lessons. They don't want to put in the work because they get participation trophies. That's really what this all comes down to. I think. I really think that's the bigger umbrella thing.
Yeah.
That we're looking at here. Yeah.
And I think even to take it a step further, if you have a society of people that don't want any feedback about their mental illness or refuse to get help for their mental illness, you're essentially creating an army of mentally ill people that are always angry. And that's what I see. Like every time I open up TikTok and I see a lot of people talk, especially with like the whole LGBT identity stuff, that people are just making up all of these gender things all of a sudden.
Yeah.
It's like that's not sensible. That's you're living in an alternate universe. That's not real. And I think people that play into that, I think are also doing a disservice to that person, because you're not allowing that person to get help. You're kind of playing into their essentially a delusion.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, that's why that's another reason why I think that's another reason why I left the left. We'll go back in full circle here.
Yeah.
I started realizing that a lot of these people that were on the left have a lot more mental health issues than people in the center or right. And that's been proven. Like there have been polls that prove this. And even if it wasn't proven, I'm just telling you from my experience directly. There were way more people that were, you know, borderline personality disorders or just anxiety. I'm one of them. Not that that's like means you're crazy, but you know, mental health makes you act. If your mental health is not being treated properly, if you're not getting the help, you won't make sense when you speak, and you know, you're going to act out of feelings and not logic. And you know, brain chemicals make a big difference in the way we see the world, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I noticed that, like I said, most of the people on the far left weren't consistent with their arguments. They weren't consistent with science and logic. You know, it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't healthy.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't healthy. It didn't feel right, and it felt familiar, like I said. And I was like, no, this is not we're not on the right side of history at this point anymore, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I just have to just interject because I know some idiot is going to take this video and they're going to make a reaction video to it and they're going to commentate about how problematic we both are. We have to, yeah, right. Thank you. We have to just acknowledge that we were both on that side and we left. So the question is why? And I think that you should really consider what we're saying because we've been there. We've already experienced this. We're in it.
For years. We were in it for years. Yeah.
Right.
And I think anyone to leave something that feels so, like I said, familiar, not in a bad way in this sense, and I'm not talking about me. I think when anyone leaves something familiar, it will cause them pain. So imagine the pain that you had to have felt, and you know the pain that you felt, to have to get to that point where you're like, I'm done. Yeah. It's a lot of stuff that was happening. It's not just one thing. It's not just the trans stuff. It's not just the COVID stuff. It's not just the Trump derangement syndrome stuff. It's a lot of abuse and manipulation and control tactics that are happening.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not saying that doesn't happen on the far right, because the far left and the far right, you know, the horseshoe theory, it says like the far right and far left are much closer. Mm-hmm. You and I are probably like somewhere in here, right? We're like in the middle. Even though they'll call us far right Nazis at this point, whatever. We're technically, I guess, like where Dave Rubin is. Okay. Classic liberals, like moderates, new age conservatives, right? Who simply believe in freedom and self-accountability. Yeah. What an idea. What a concept.
Self-accountability, that is definitely a white supremacist talking point. You need to stop.
Yeah. They have no clue what that is at this point, but
oh man.
We're going to learn. I think that a lot of people were saying this on Twitter recently, and I think it's true. I think when the pendulum has already begun to swing backwards. I think when it starts going more and more to the right, these kids are not going to handle it well. No, like they're already handling it so badly when the pendulum was all the way on their side. Right. So I don't know if I want to be around for it. Like I don't know if I want to be involved at that point, because it's gonna, if we think it's bad now, I think it's gonna get really, really bad for these kids.
Yeah, like
I would be worried. I'm going to be worried for them at that point. I'm
worried for them. And then I'm also worried for people like you, which is why I keep bringing up LGBT issues. Even though like my channel naturally, I think attracts a lot of like conservative people, religious folk that may not necessarily agree with like people being gay or whatever. But I see everyone as people, and I see you gonna get a lot of the pushback, because what I'm seeing is like if you have the extremists on the far left that are coming up with all of these weird ideologies, the people who are on the right or the conservatives, they're gonna be looking at that like, are these how everyone thinks? Is that okay? And now they're gonna be on edge thinking that is the general consensus of anyone that's gay and anyone that is lesbian. Right. So I'm very thankful for people like you, people like Blair and Buck that are speaking out about this, because there needs to be a balance, because if the crazies are the only people with a megaphone, that's bad.
Right. And that's what the media intentionally props up all the time. Right. I think it seems anyway that it really is like a divide and conquer thing. Right. I think that the more they pinned us against each other, they got Biden to win. I think I personally want, we're not even going to say he cheated. I don't know. I really don't know. There's no way to know.
All I'm saying is that at 3:00 in the morning, his vote had an erection on that chart. I saw that. Okay.
That shit took some Viagra or something.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. You know what I will say though? I will say that I think what Biden has done more than anything is turned a lot of Democrats Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
I really see it. Like Miami even flipped red. You have to remember Miami, even though it's Florida and Florida is kind of like purple, whatever. Certain areas are blue. Um, Miami used to be blue. Used to be a very democratic city, but you have to remember it's all Cubans.
Yeah.
A lot of Cuban immigrants, legal immigrants.
Mhm.
You think they want communism and socialism and this shit? Absolutely not.
No.
Look
Mm-mm.
at JC, Blair's friend. You know the little short kid, JC.
Yep.
He's a cute gay guy, gay boy. He's from Cuba.
Yeah.
He's a Republican. He's like, do not make me go to back. Don't make me go back there.
Right.
Like, don't do it. Yeah, he knows. He knows. How are you gonna tell somebody that's directly from that situation that they don't know what they're talking about?
It's
You
because
got some balls to do that, and they
Yeah.
do it every day.
Oh yeah, totally. Like I was interviewing someone that grew up in communist China, and
Yes, I saw that video.
yeah, the amount of people that took what she was saying as like she's making it up or she's over exaggerating. I'm like, that is a complete slap in the face. Like seriously. And this is what I hate about our education system is we've sort of built this idea that if you're able to get a diploma, you automatically know more than someone else. And that is bullshit because now it seems like you can just go to school and learn these ridiculous, like for example, gender studies. What is there to study? What do you need to study about this? I don't understand.
You know what? There's exactly one person that I know that has a gender studies degree that's actually intelligent, and that's Megan Murphy.
Okay. Okay.
She's one of the most hated people on the planet too.
Man,
because she doesn't focus on it's not like she focuses on all these made up genders. That's not what she focuses on. She focuses on actual women's rights that are actually being disregarded in countries that need help, that kind of thing.
that makes sense.
You know what I mean?
That is reasonable.
Right. That's what reasonable stuff, right?
Yeah.
She's in Canada now. She lives, she goes back and forth, she travels a lot, and she's focusing on things that matter: female genital mutilation, like actual feminist topics.
Mm-hmm.
Not like how somebody looked at you and you got triggered. Like,
Yeah. Oh man, I feel unsafe.
Yeah.
Oh boy. All right, we got some more super chats to read. Mr. Wolfgram wants to know who's top of the hierarchy in the LGBT and who's on the bottom.
As far as like the left is concerned, I'm assuming it would be a black trans woman would be at the top of the oppression hierarchy, and at the bottom would be a white gay man. That's the answer to that.
I actually answered the same exact thing. That's crazy. That's nuts.
It's true.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is, though. That's how they see it. Yeah.
Yeah. And when I did the video,
and there are some things that they say when talking about that make sense. Like gay men on average that are white do make more money.
Right.
And they sometimes have more opportunities, but
why is that? It's like you gotta start comparing some stuff. Like, what's the work ethic like? What's their experience?
Exactly. I've always said, well, not always. I've said over the last 2 years, it seems like it's more about culture than race.
It is.
Because I know, like JC, he's Hispanic. He's from Cuba. He's got a ton of work ethic, that boy. And I know people that are white that are lazy as shit and didn't do anything with their lives.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it goes. You have to find the truth in the middle somewhere. The truth is always in the middle, I feel like.
Yeah. A while back I did a video on the trans agenda. I think you saw it. And I found Miyoko, who is a black trans woman. And
yes, I followed her after that.
Yeah, so I put her in the video, and I said, since you guys claim to say that this is the most oppressed person, I want you to hear from this. Reading the comments of the people on the opposite side of the spectrum, it was like, she has survivorship bias. So it's not even, like, now you're just not satisfied.
No, never.
Never satisfied.
But that's also an abusive tactic. They keep moving the goalposts.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's like emotional abuse 101.
Yeah.
You can never satisfy. You walk on eggshells around the person that you're with. In this case, a whole community.
Right. Yeah.
Not good.
Not good. We got another super chat here from Vichar who says, do you think it's hard dealing with being pushed out of the LGBT community because of how political it's become?
Yes. I remember going to my first Pride, there were no politics involved at all. There were none. Like maybe like the people that were, the leaders of the city, like the mayor or whatever, would walk in Pride, but there were no like Black Lives Matter things. We know that's political. There were no like fuck Trump there was nothing like that back then. This was 15 years ago. Only over the last 5 years, I would say, has it become incredibly political. And like, there's one thing if you want to say, okay, gay Democrat group, no problem. Gay Republicans, no problem. But when you're saying that you're an LGBT pride parade and you're not including just like every LGBT person, then you're not for LGBT people. You're for a specific, a specific way of thinking.
Right.
Like, what did my friend David say? He used to say, first of all, he says, I'm gay, I'm not stupid. I love that line when he's talking about why he's a Republican.
Love it.
Yeah, but he used to say that the left is obsessed with diversity, right? Diversity of skin tone, of race, of sexual orientation, of gender, all these made up identities. But the only thing they're not diverse about is thought. Like, everyone is taught to think the same. That is a cult, my friend.
Yes.
Like, that is the definition of a cult.
Yes.
That's not good.
That's not good.
Not good. I don't want to be a part of that.
That's not
So
good.
you and I we're lucky ones. We're not lucky. We worked hard, and we self-assessed, and we broke out from that.
Yeah. It was
Right.
difficult, but it's definitely
Very.
worth it, because now you don't have to front. And I think a lot of people have to front when they're on the side that's abusing them, that says you can't talk about this, you can't say this. Like,
yeah,
that's not.
yeah. One of the first months that I was like, after I left, I remember I had an interview. I think it was with Steven Crowder, actually. I think it was either him or I don't remember. It might have been Dave Rubin, but it was one of the far right people. And I caught myself and I was like, oh, I can't talk about this because I'm not this. And they were like, that's the far leftist coming out of you. Stop that. And I was like, you're right. I'm just going to say it. And I started just opening up more and talking about whatever I felt. So it felt nice for a change to not have to censor myself,
Yeah. Feels good, man.
Yep.
All right. So we got another question here from Britt Cormier. Don't get it twisted. Once the right is back in power, we will see the Christian right try to dictate morality again. Both sides have their control freaks. I believe that there's control freaks everywhere. It's not specific to one side. But if we're considering like who's in charge right now and where all of the craziness is coming from, it's kind of hard to ignore where it's primarily coming from. But
yeah, I think the conservative Republicans at its core at the moment is more about freedom. So if they were to stand by that, I don't think that they would try to control, make everything Christian, Catholic, whatever this person said. I don't think that that's what happened.
Yeah.
At least I hope not. If they were actually for freedom,
right? I don't
when
think so either.
When Trump was in power, he didn't do that. He was just like the whole gay cake baking thing.
Yeah.
People were like, you can't make somebody make. They were like, you need to bake this cake for this gay person. No, I don't. If I don't believe in it, then I'm not going to do it. And I'm like, okay, I'll take my business elsewhere.
Right.
I don't want to give you my money.
Right.
That's freedom.
So easy. Just
That's freedom.
Why would you? That's the other thing too, because people always bring up that argument. Why would you want to force someone to make you food when they don't want to?
I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't.
You're just asking for it. Like, I don't.
Right.
No.
It's a bad argument, and I never looked into the actual case until the last 3 years, I would say. Because I always just assumed, oh, they're homophobic, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, maybe they were just simply living out their, freedom of religion.
Yeah. We got a question here from Shagsworth. Ariel is one of my faves. Glad she is still grifting, wink, wink. Question, any big plans for 2022?
Big plans. I am planning on going to more conservative, Republican, whatever you want to call them, non-leftist conventions. I was just at one last week. It was awesome. I was called Hereticon, so it was basically a bunch of heretics that Peter Thiel got together.
Okay.
It was really cool. I got to meet him. He's very nice. So things like that, I think, are the future. We need to create our own, quote, safe space without it being a safe space. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
A safe space for differing ideas.
Right.
Which is technically the opposite of a safe space. But it's still a space.
It's still a space. It's
still a space. We need a space.
Maybe the term should be tolerant space.
That's the way to go.
Maybe perhaps.
A tolerant space. Yeah, an actual tolerant space.
Yeah.
That's a good way of putting it.
That's
the way we need to go.
Exactly. No, I absolutely agree with you. We got a question here from D. Joseph Santos, who asks, assume the left is correct to say that gender is an illusion. Does this mean that women's rights movements are for nothing?
Well, I've made a video about that. If you there was a guy that went to, it was a bunch of videos, but one specifically, a video of a guy that went to the Women's March and asked women to define the word woman at a women's march, and they couldn't define the word.
What's wrong with people?
So this is the issue, right? If you can't define a group of people or a group of things or a feeling, like if you can't put a strict definition, at least some kind of definition on it, how can you protect said thing? Like,
right.
What are you fighting for if you can't define it?
Right.
Like, are you just going out there and just speaking just to speak?
Right.
That doesn't make any sense.
I think we have an epidemic of people that want to help or pretend that they're helping. And I almost want to say that the way that social media has connected us has sort of cultivated this like validation culture where people want to just feel like they're doing good. Like you saw with Black Lives Matter, people getting out of their cars to pretend that they're protesting.
What is it called? Not moral superiority, but virtue signaling, I would say, is a big one. You know, like I unfollowed so many people just for posting things like that, knowing that I know that they weren't the type of person that would actually go through with anything.
Yeah.
Like they were just doing it for the likes, and I was like, that's bullshit. I can't do that.
Yeah.
Like I can't. Nope. I unfollowed them. Tons, mostly white gay men do that kind of stuff. Mostly white gay men.
Oh,
it's just
man.
I don't know why, but I think I don't know.
I don't know what it is either, but you're right about this. I get a lot of angry white gay men always attacking me. Weird. All right, we got one from Danny Rendon, who asked, do y'all think representation is important? If so, how to avoid pandering and tokenization? I can go off on this, but I'll give that to you first if you want.
Oh, I know how to answer that. I mean, I'm happy to be a token lesbian. But I also think that I think that when people say token lesbian, they really mean left-wing lesbian. Because I never see, like I said, I lost all these brand deals because I was no longer a left-wing person. I've never seen any brand or any media prop up these types of people unless it's like Fox News. So if you truly want diversity, you need to start including different thoughts. And I don't think, I'll tell you what, I think the media is starting to get it. Not because they believe in it, but because they have to, because they're losing viewership. Like CNN is at the bottom now. And now all of a sudden, keep them there. All of a sudden, they're starting to criticize the CDC, right? They're starting to. It's like, oh, you trying to gain some notoriety back? Nobody believes you and your bullshit. Like, it's over. But now all of a sudden they're starting to change. So I don't trust them. Yeah, but I think diversity is important. I don't know the answer yet as to not make it seem like everybody's just a token. I think the way to do that is to not put someone in charge of something just because they are said thing. Like the transgender health, whatever the hell the person was. Yeah. Or Kamala Harris just because she's black. Like people very quickly, what'd you say?
I said, is she though?
I don't know. Is she like half black? I don't even know.
I don't know.
But people will see very quickly through it, and that's not. It's diversity, but it's not good. Does that make sense? Like,
no,
you can have diversity, and it's
Yeah, like
two things can be true at once.
I think representation is important, but this isn't a conversation that we should be having in 2022. I think it is absolutely insulting to insinuate that there's lack of representation. I hear it a lot with like the black community. I'm just like, we're really going to pretend that we didn't have all these amazing black actresses like in Hollywood, like just, we never had that.
I want to add on to that.
Go ahead.
You and I'm a little old. I think I'm a few years older than you are. When people call me racist and say that we're systemically racist against black, whatever the words are, when people call me racist, it's like, how are you telling millennials that they are racist? We are the epitome of white people loving black singers. Like that was the thing in the 2000s when I was in high school. Alicia Keys, Ja Rule, Ashanti, 50 Cent, Jay-Z, Destiny's Child, like every single person that was extremely popular, like that was hip hop's golden era, besides like the 80s, right, when like it was New York hip hop. Yeah, but like that was hip hop and R&B and pop, the Usher golden era. We were obsessed, and all of a sudden, all my friends in high school, my best friend was black, my other best friend was half black. She never told me that she was, but we knew it, and like everybody got along. There was the only issues that we have were with other schools. because it wasn't a race thing. It was like a neighborhood thing. It's like, nah, you're from South Brooklyn, we don't like you.
Right.
That kind of thing. Didn't matter where you lived. It was what school you went to. That was like your clique, right?
Yeah.
All the black kids, all the white kids, we all got along. Didn't matter.
Right. Yeah.
That's New York though. I was very lucky, I guess you could say.
I mean, it's
nobody gave a shit. Not one.
Exactly. Like, I don't remember. And when I hear this argument about like representation and how it's like systemic racism and all that stuff, I have to consider like, okay, what is your interaction with people of the other race? Because like if you have a shitty attitude and you approach someone of the opposite race and they respond in a way that's like aggressive because they're like taken aback because of your shitty attitude, you can't say that it's because of race. Like, you have to do some self-reflection. Why is this person reacting in this way when I approach them?
Right, exactly. But again, no self-accountability.
No self-accountability. So to answer to the question, I do agree that as far as like representation, the only representation I think is important in 2022 is diversity of thought. And that's all I care about. Everything else is absolutely useless. You being brown, gay, that tells me nothing about you.
No, it doesn't.
No.
Yeah.
All right, we got some more questions over here from Alexander Rawl. If Ariel and Gothix are far right to these people, how fucking far to the left must the speaker be for them to look that way to the speaker? Wait, what? I don't know if I read that right. We have another one here from Alexander. My brother is going to Salem State and is required to take woke classes to pass. It's not just gender studies anymore. It's required courses now. I didn't hear anything about that.
Wow.
I believe it. I believe it though.
I'm not surprised. I mean, my best friend's daughter is 14. She's in high school now, but last year when she was in junior high school, she came home one day and we were talking about the election, and she's like, something about like you're white and you're privileged and da 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 da, and you're something about being racist. I can't remember. It was a year ago, and I was like, Kyla, your mom is white. I'm white. Your mom only dates Hispanic dudes. Like, you're half brown. We love you nonetheless. How are we racist? Like, where are you getting? So they definitely are teaching these kids something at school. 100%.
Totally.
They won't admit it, but they are.
No, they definitely are. All right, so let's see. We got one from Esteban. Hey, Ariel and Gothix, just here to support. Ariel is my favorite lesbian. I can't stand how lesbian phobic the left is.
Oh my God, he's right.
Yeah.
It's so bad. You can't be a lesbian these days.
It's
gotta be like mono, queer, sexual, platonic. I don't even know. I'm just making up words.
Yeah,
but, like, you have to be all these other things. Like, remember when we would just be lesbians like 5 years ago?
Yeah, I remember those days. But now that's old. That's not inclusive enough.
Lesbian.
Yeah.
No, it's not enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. What's the word? Not trigger words, but diversity words, I guess.
Yeah. Let's see. We got one here from. We got one here from BM. Super off topic. Gothix, come see Jordan Peterson in Boston next month. I'm trying to recruit a squad of ladies to go. Ariel, you come too. I'm gonna go see Jordan Peterson in February in Rhode Island, actually. So can't go to the squad with you, but I'm going.
I'll go see him when he comes south, like Florida or Georgia or something. I'm not coming back up to the north anytime soon.
Yeah.
Cold, yeah.
Yeah, too cold and too woke for my taste, but I'm kind of stuck here. So yeah, too communist. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go to Florida and see what the difference
Come on down
is.
to free Florida.
I have to. Over here,
we love it.
It's like people are so afraid of COVID over here. I'm like, I just want to, shop without a diaper on my face. Can I just do that? Is that okay?
You can here, yeah.
Man. We got one here from Dustin Campbell who says, Gothix, I love your Vits question. Who do you think is more dangerous debater versus the left, Candace Owens or Ben Shapiro? Who's the most dangerous debater versus the left, Candace Owens or Ben Shapiro?
I'm going to say something that I know I'm going to get shit for.
All right, let's hear it.
Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens are both brilliant, but I think Ben Shapiro is taken more seriously because he is a man. So I think he would be more dangerous just on that. Not that I think that's okay or right.
Yeah.
But I think he would be considered more dangerous to the left because even though they say they're not sexist, they are.
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and it you know what, it kind of, I think they're both great in their own regard. I get very nauseated seeing how people look at Candace Owens or don't take her seriously
That's
because
what
like
bothers me.
yeah,
That's what my point is. Yeah,
it
that's my
bothers the
point.
hell out of me. And
Hmm.
like for me, especially when I walked away at the height of BLM in 2020, everyone was talking about amplify black voices. The second I walk away, it's like, oh, you're a coon, you're an Uncle Thomas. Like, hold on a second, what is
Yep.
going on? So it's a little bit, it's scary how normal overt racism based on political leaning is
Yep.
okay now.
Yep. Yeah, yeah. I mean, who was talking about it on Twitter? Somebody was talking about it on Twitter yesterday or today,
Yeah.
and there was Zeke, my friend Zeke, who's a cop.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know what his actual name is, but that's the name he goes by on Twitter. And he says the same thing. It's like you talk about Black Lives Matter and all these things, but when a black cop speaks up, you don't want to hear him.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
why is that? What's going on with that?
Yeah. And he is in the trenches. He's a cop in a bad uh happens to be black area of Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are bad white areas too. Don't get me wrong. There's like white trash areas, but that's not where he's at. I'm just speaking the truth. But and he says like he cares about his community and he wants to help them, so he stayed in his community and he fights for them every day as a police officer.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear it though. No, they want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. They want to defund everything. And he's like Ariel, I haven't met one person. I interviewed him about this. He's like, I haven't met one person in my neighborhood in East New York or wherever he was that wants to defund the police here. We want more police here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that
But of course, white liberals speak for everybody.
right. Correct. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
But yeah, Candace
Um
Owens is brilliant. My
uh
brother and I, all day, every day, we send each other clips of her,
that's dope.
of her getting sassy. We love it. Yeah.
That's dope. That's dope. Um I know I said I had you for an hour, but is it a straight hour? Do you got a little bit more time?
I got a little time. Yeah, yeah.
All right. All right. You let me know when you got to go.
Okay.
So I want to know, so we're talking about the pendulum shift and everything that's happening.
Mhm.
What do you think? Do you have any I guess advice for people that are in the LGBT community that maybe like, what the hell is going on? What do I do about this? Or maybe conflicted on whether or not, maybe they're on the fence about walking away. Like, do you have some advice based on your experiences that you can give to people?
My advice would be just because you walk away from something doesn't mean you have to join something else. It just means that you're taking a stand for your independence. Like to this day, I've never identified as a conservative because I don't think I fit most of that typical criteria. I think I'll use the word conservative leaning sometimes because there are certain issues that I lean conservative on. Um, I think if anything, the left was the first to label me as soon as I came out. As soon as I said I'm leaving the left, they labeled me as a Republican, a racist, a conservative, whatever. I mean, they
Yeah.
were labeling me that to begin with. I never officially like said that I was any of those things. Like I'm technically, I would consider myself a moderate, independent, conservative leaning on certain issues.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you know me in person and are like friends with me, like Sydney Watson, she's like, yeah, you're a moderate. Like she knows me well. She's like, yeah, you're a moderate. You just think things through and you have certain views and then that's it, which is normal, you know?
Yeah.
I think you need to really hone into what your beliefs are and what your morals are. And if that doesn't align with what the left is currently preaching, which is, in my opinion, control and manipulation and holding people down, then you need to leave. It doesn't mean you need to join another cult.
Right.
you know, just because you leave the left doesn't mean you're joining the right, which is what everyone thought that I did. It just means you're taking a stand, like I said, for your independence. And I'm an individual and I have individual thoughts. And listen, if you leave and they don't take you back or take you if they disown you, I guess, do they really have your back in the first place? Like I can get into argument after argument or rather disagreement after disagreement with people that are quote on the right. I've never had them unfriend me over it, not once.
Yeah.
That's the difference in my opinion. That's the big difference. What about you?
Yeah. So same, I have to say.
Yes.
Like I said, when I walked away, 90% of my friends just left. I can't even call these people friends
No,
because I just would not do that to a friend, you
I
know?
would not either, and I
Uh,
didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, like I have to consider, if I ever wanted to stop being friends with someone, I would have to consider, okay, what is it that I'm upset about? And does this warrant me throwing away all of the history and all of the things that I've shared with this person throughout my life? Like, I just can't bring myself to do that. Do I believe that some people were a little brainwashed and misguided? Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, I do believe it's our own responsibility to just be aware and ask questions and challenge ourselves. But again, before making a decision like that, I just wouldn't do that. Yeah. So we talked about like leaving the left, but so I want to know specifically, what are some things that you can list off the top of your head that are common misconceptions about the LGBT and voting Democrat? Like, why is that synonymous?
I think because for the longest time, up until, correct me if I'm wrong, up until Obama, no one was really voting. No president was for gay rights. That's first of all. He was the first Democrat, I believe, that was well, not even his first term. Also, his second term, he was for gay rights, gay marriage, and stuff. It took the Republican Party a little longer to come on board. So, I think for gay people, it was kind of like, well, that was our number one issue for a long time. Like, are we going to be able to work? Are we going to be able to raise a family? Are we going to be able to just be out in public? Are they looking after us, just for being ourselves? Like, we can't help this. This is just not that I'm like, oh, I'm oppressed, I can't help but be gay. That's not what I mean. But it's like, this has been proven now. Okay, this is scientifically proven. We're born this way, and there's no gay gene, but we are born this way. And as long as it's, between two consenting adults, in my opinion, there's nothing morally wrong with it. And it took Republicans a little longer to get on the side of gay rights. And until that happened, well, I still think at the moment some Republicans are not, but the ones that are also aren't speaking out about it as much as the Democrats do. And I think it's a party issue. I don't think it's a gay people issue. Mm-hmm. I think that, and we were talking to, I was talking to the head of the Libertarian Party a while back too in a video, and he said, what can we do, to gain more votes? And I said, you need to like talk to the black community, and talk to the gay community. You need to, like, you can't just talk about issues. You have to talk about communities, because right now, I met with Ben Shapiro when I was in California last year. I think it was last year. And in his very Ben Shapiro, like, Jewy kind of way, he was like, how he talks and he goes like this.
Yeah.
He was like he first met me, he's like, the gay, Republicans haven't cared about gay people being gay since like 2000, right? Like, I know. I was like, no, I didn't know that actually. He's like, yeah, we don't. And I was like, oh, and I didn't know that. Like, I'm glad that. He's like, how could I know that unless people start speaking up about it? Like, Trump was the first one that like held the gay flag, the LGBT flag, the rainbow flag. I think that's the issue, is that we don't know that we're welcome. It's not that we necessarily believe everything the Democrats are saying. We don't know that we're welcome on the other side. That makes sense? That was a long video.
No, that makes perfect sense. It's almost like when we walked away from the left, people assumed we were going to the right. So it's like they kind of build this false, like, well, if you're not doing this, you must be this, or if you're not showing this, then that equals whatever. So I can definitely see that, where people, they're not going to. Yeah, I think that's it. You just said it precisely. Yeah. That's kind of.
Yeah, I think that we need more people, like I said, like Blair, like David, like Rob Smith, to be outwardly gay and Republican or conservative or whatever you want to call them, whatever labels they attach to themselves. Yeah. To know that, like, Fox News has Rob Smith on like every day.
Wow, really?
They come, girl. Like, he's on a lot. He's on Fox News a lot.
That's awesome.
Not every day, but he's on at least once a week or something. He's on often. And they're supposedly like homophobic or whatever, or like racist, right? And he's got a black gay man on TV every 5 minutes. It's like, come on now. But we need that. Because gay people are stupid, just like everybody else. Like, we want to visually see it. I don't care what you say. I need to see it. Which is, I guess it's not stupidity. It's fair. Like, we need to like have we need to see it with our own eyes, type of thing.
So in this sense, representation matters.
It does. Like, we be talking about that.
Yeah.
In regards to diversity of thought.
Right.
It doesn't matter that he's black or gay. It matters that he's Well, in this case, I guess it does only because the left associates everybody on the right to be racist. So we do need people that are black and gay or black and trans to be thrown in every once in a while here. Not because, but they have to be intelligent. It's not just like Rob is brilliant.
Oh yeah,
he's not just some schmuck from the streets. Like, you know,
he's smart.
He was in the army. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's the type of diversity we need.
And
not just like random person, not just a random gay black person.
the thing that kills me is like I'll see people particularly with a lot of the LGBT issues, I'll see a lot of people on the right that will say like, you know, we don't want them a part of our party. You know, that's not.
I've seen that, but I see it very infrequently.
I see it, and I'm just
Very
like,
rarely.
okay, well, that mindset, then you can keep losing because that's not realistic. It's not the party of you; it's the party of people. So if you want to win, you have to speak to people. Yeah, and you know, LGBT people, they're not, you know, mythological creatures. They actually are human beings. So you're gonna have to like speak to them.
I see that too. But my question is, I really don't know because I haven't had any direct conversations with these people. When these people are saying things like that, do you think it's because their idea of gay people is the left?
Yes.
Or do you think that they know people like Blair and me exist?
I think
I don't know the answer to that yet.
It could be two. It could be like I don't know what the appropriate term is, but I know there's like really, really, really hardcore religious people that just don't want anything to do with LGBT folks. And then we also have the people that will associate LGBT with the crazies on the radical left.
Right.
So I think those are primarily, but again, I don't see it very often, but when I do, I'm just like, that's not gonna get you any votes. Sorry.
Right. It's not.
Mm-mm.
And I think one of the things that the Republican Party is missing because of the crazy, in my opinion, crazy far right people like that, is people, like I said, people like Trump, like holding up that flag. That was a big deal. He might have lost some of his viewers, some of his voter base, because just simply saying that gay people are cool. Like,
right.
Not even like going into detail with anything with trans rights and bathroom shit like Biden's doing. Just a basic, hi, we know gay people exist and we support you.
Yeah.
Or whatever he was trying to say with that. Nobody knows. But you don't see that on the Republican Party. There's a few places like Log Cabin Republicans. That's, I don't know where they're based out of. I know they have bases in Florida, but it's for LGBT people that identify as Republicans. So there's places like that, and Outspoken, which is a not-for-profit based off of like that, you know, underneath Log Cabin Republicans, that are doing their best to promote, you know, non-far left ideologies, people that are in the middle of the far right, not far right, but people in the middle and the right and everywhere in between. So, but we need more than that.
Mm-hmm.
We need more media representation, so to speak. And just because we need to get rid of this stigma that all gays and trans people are crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's been such a strong quote selling point of the left for so many years. We need to get rid of that.
Right.
Because it hasn't technically been a selling point at all, to be honest.
No.
But to them, I guess it is. I don't know.
I guess so, but like I said, I see the pendulum shifting. I just hope it's not as you know, forceful and not many people get hurt in the process of this, because it's gonna happen. So I guess my next question is, if you can think off the top of your head, what is the most ridiculous thing that you have seen in your ventures on TikTok and social media as far as the LGBT? Like, what is the most ridiculous rhetoric or whatever it is that you've seen?
There's a lot of things. One of them has to be people calling themselves queer just because they dress differently. Can't stand that.
Yeah, I used to call myself a tomboy. I wasn't queer.
Yeah, you're not queer, right? Faking mental illnesses. A lot of people that are identifying as gay or identifying as queer, whatever, are faking mental illnesses. Like it's like this rabbit hole. They just keep, it's like a hamster wheel, rather. Once they stop, they just keep inventing new things to continue on that wheel. I just saw yesterday supposedly a non-binary person that looks straight up like a regular dude. Like nothing different about this guy. You would assume he was a straight white guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people, because they don't I think people are faking being these other things because of how much hate cis straight white men get, or cis straight white women get. So they're forcing, it's like they're forcing these labels on themselves. But I'm not, wait, you don't hate me. I'm not cis straight and white. I'm actually queer, and I have mental health problems, and I have dissociative identity. Like, no.
Yeah.
You're straight. Like, stop. It's fine. You can be a straight white person.
Right.
It's
That's
fine.
okay. That's
It's
allowed.
Okay. Like, it's okay. Only people on the left are saying it's not okay.
Yeah.
So they're creating these new victimhood oppression, oppressive labels. Ouch. That's the truth. I'm getting old. You heard my knee crack?
Yeah. Me too. All the time.
They're creating all these labels because they don't want to be pushed out of the leftist community. I think that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
What do you think? What's like the craziest thing you've seen lately?
Oh,
TikTok is a shit show.
It's a shit show. I don't know. I have a lot of confliction because I'm friends with a lot of trans people, and just the way that the trans movement has been like co-opted and is just pushed to the forefront for like young kids. It's really sickening to me because, as we said, there's like a mental health crisis, and now you have a lot of young people that are undergoing surgeries and getting hormones for things that are going to change their body permanently. Right. And I'm from the perspective of maybe changing your body isn't going to fix whatever you feel in here or up here. Right. And I would prefer if people actually think about what they're going to do before they make a life-altering decision like that.
Right.
And when I go on TikTok, I'll see people that are flaunting the fact that they got their boobs chopped off, and I'm like, I really feel bad because, again, I think that the people, what do you call them? The gender affirming doctors or therapists. They're just, they're enabling this like, this mental illness to go untreated just by saying, yep, you are trans, go get your titties chopped off.
You're
like,
trans just because you say that you're trans.
No.
There's no, they can't critique it or ask questions, or they'll be called transphobic.
Yeah.
There was like a 1,300% increase or something like that in the UK over the last 6 years or whatever it was. I did a video on it. I don't remember the exact numbers of kids that are identifying as transgender.
Right.
And 1,300%, that's insane.
It's a lot. That's a lot.
That's not normal. There's something going on. And it's mainly young women. People
right.
that are born female. That's not normal. There's something going on here culture-wise.
Right. And I kind of touched a little bit on that, specifically like the non-binary thing. And I don't know how you feel about that, but to me, I feel like the non-binary thing is essentially a gateway drug into getting your titties chopped off. I look at it as like, this is the stepping stone for you to identify as something else and potentially doing something to your body.
I think that non-binary, if it was a real thing, to me, it should have meant, people aren't using this to mean, this is not the actual definition of this word at the moment from the community anyway. If it was a thing, the only way I would accept it is if it meant that you would be dysphoric body-wise as fully one sex or the other. Then that makes sense, right? Like you're kind of in the middle with your dysphoria, because it's still a mental illness and it's been proven that dysphoria is a real thing. So if you're telling me like, okay, like if I were to transition and I would appear fully male, I would still be dysphoric. That sucks. Even worse than being what I can't even think of the word. A regular trans person.
Yeah.
What do you call it? That would suck way worse. A binary trans person, rather. It would suck way worse because I feel like you wouldn't know where the end goal would be. But that's not how people are using the word anyway. Right now, they're using the word just to mean I dress differently, or I feel more feminine one day and more masculine the next day. And at this point, they're not even using it to mean those things. Like there's a guy on TikTok, I saw a non-binary person on TikTok yesterday. Just literally nothing different about this person. It wasn't even like he was a dude that wears lipstick.
Yeah.
Nothing. And he was like non-binary. And he was actually cute, which made me like, I got me annoyed because I'm like, people are going to listen to this kid because he's cute, right?
Right.
And he said something like, just, one of those things like, just so you know, non-binary. What did he say? I'm non-binary. Non-binary doesn't have to look a certain way. Da, 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 da. Like, and it wasn't in your face. It was actually like a cute video. And I was like, man, if I didn't know what I knew about these things, that would be one way that I would be indoctrinated. Because the kid wasn't an asshole about it. He was actually a cute, maybe 20-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And he was just kind of like, I'm just living my life.
Yeah.
There
And
wasn't anything bad about that, energy wise.
like for me, because the video that I made was I put up stats that were showing like this research study
Let me see if I can find
that the
it. I'm listening
term
now.
like non-binary is more widely known on the left. And I had some people comment saying, well, I'm non-binary and I'm on the right and I'm conservative, but those are very small numbers compared to how widely it's accepted on the left, which tells me this is more so indoctrination based on the what side of the political aisle you're on. Because
Right.
aside from that, the term non-binary to me seems like it's just seeking attention. Because what is this information like? Is the point that you don't feel like a man, you don't feel like a woman, you don't have to dress a certain way or act a certain way? Okay, then do it. Why do I need to
Right.
know about it? Just do the
Right.
thing.
Yeah, just do it. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like back in the day, we would call that a butch lesbian or
Yeah,
like a drag queen. Yeah, like, or like a gay man that was like more, queenie.
yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to identify as a different gender.
You don't have to announce it. You don't have to identify it. You don't have to do
And
all
when you
these
do it, you'd be like,
modifications to your
listen,
body.
yeah, like I'm a strong gay man. And I like wearing dresses. Good for you, dude.
Good for you. Good for
Yeah,
you.
good for you. It's almost, I view it as a cop out of, and it's sexist. It's saying, I do these things because I'm not a man or a woman. Rather, instead of saying I do these things despite being a man or woman.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Ah,
sexist.
yep.
Sexist. It's like, oh, man or woman has to be a certain way. No, that's sexist.
Right.
That's what feminists have been fighting against for years.
Yeah. It's what's really interesting is a lot of this the woke LGBT stuff. I get this impression that a lot of them don't realize that this rhetoric that they're enabling is sort of adding to intolerance and adding to actual bigotry because for
I
example,
don't think they care though. Here's the thing. I don't think they care because, well, you can correct me if you think I'm wrong. I
Yeah.
don't think they care because I think they enjoy being oppressed at this point. And I think the more they piss people off, the more they can be like, see, I'm oppressed. People hate me. What do you think though?
No, I think I have to
I mean, I hope I'm wrong.
No,
I
no,
really hope I do.
I think I have to agree with you because I think part of it is because I was speaking with a detransitioner the other day on this channel, and he was talking about how when he transitioned, he was getting all the love from like the trans community, but when he went to the police academy, they excommunicated him from, which I find very odd how the hating cop thing is like synonymous with being LGBT. And I don't understand it.
Politics, right? It's anyone that's far leftist.
Right. So no, I have to agree with you. I think it's easy to play the victim, and then when you see a lot of people and how much love and admiration they get, like I saw it specifically with like the Black Lives Matter movement. I saw a lot of creators that have been on billboards, commercials, have won awards, and in the blink of an eye, I am oppressed, systemic racism, white supremacy, woe is me, and then you see them getting more sponsors, you see them getting more interviews and stuff like that. I said, okay, I see the game now. So I think it's the same thing. It's just terrible. I don't understand how we even got to this point. Well, I mean, I understand, but it's just sad, I guess.
It's sad because these people that are falling for this are making society weak.
Mm-hmm.
We're allowing ourselves to be controlled, and I think people in power see that and are taking advantage of it.
Absolutely.
I really do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
It's happening more and more every day with COVID, especially. I think a lot of people started seeing it.
Oh yeah.
Like first it was, the race baiting and the gay baiting, and that it was COVID. Now it's critical race theory and systemic stuff, and forget it. Like they're gonna find a new thing, no matter what it is. They'll find something.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We got a comment here from Bulwark, who says, I told a bi friend about the cult patterns in progressive and LGBT leftists 2 years ago. Got the silent treatment for 2 days. She did admit to some of the problems. Well, hey, that's good that she admitted to some of them and that she actually thought about it. Yeah.
That's a huge deal for some people.
That's a huge deal. There are some people that stop being my friend that till this day will still give praise to Biden. I'm like, what has he done? What is he doing right now? Explain.
He has the arguably he's the worst president, at least his first year in office, arguably the worst president ever in history. And he has the lowest approval rating after his first year than anyone in like 50 years or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like 27. It was at 27% last week or something like that. Now I don't know what it is, but it was really low.
All right, 27%. Let's get it down to 10. We can do it, folks. We got this. Oh man, we got another one here from Savage Chill who says, "I think that's a really devious and dangerous trap for the trans community. You get all the love and support you feel you need on the way, but nothing but hate if you decide to leave." Yeah, that's something that the other guest who I said was a detransitioner, they said that it was very easy for them to transition. They just walked into a clinic after one session. They gave them the okay to get the surgery and all that. But then detransitioning was actually more difficult. Like, that's nuts to me.
There's no support for them. It's really sad.
Wow. Yeah. All right. Let's see here. I'm just making sure.
I'm reading all your comments, guys. Just because I'm not responding, I'm reading all.
Yeah, she's I mean, do you see any that you want to respond to? I usually say don't respond to chat because sometimes people have like interviews with the chat, but like if you see any, feel free.
Yeah, no, I'm reading any of that. I'm reading all of them. Some of them was talking about the gay community, the LGBT community, and one person said that I would be a great straight woman. I'm like, really though? I tried that.
Oh man,
I'm reading it.
Okay.
It's going by fast, but I'm trying to. I read pretty quickly.
Yeah. Let's see. We got another super chat here from Axel Thunderpaw who says, "I've gotten flack for not wanting to date trans men from LGBTQ types. Yep. I'm gay. Certain fandoms are very toxic about their inclusion."
Yeah, gay men are finally seeing this happen. Lesbians have been seeing this sort of rhetoric being spewed, I would say, since 2015 when I started talking about trans issues. I started getting, oh, well, trans women could be lesbians and lesbians should date trans women. And then even if they're not post-op, they should date them and enjoy them having a dick. And it's like, God, it went from like one extreme to the next. It's like, calm down. Like,
do you think I've asked this to other people, do you think there should be a separation of the T's from the LGBT?
I think that, I don't know how to answer it at this point. I think that there should be a separation from the woke and the not woke. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter LGBT, because people like Blair White make us look good. Mm-hmm. And I think people like Riley Dennis make us look bad. It has nothing to do with them being trans. It has them to do with one person being crazy and one person not.
Right.
That would be ideal, but it's difficult to like sort through. It would be difficult to sort through that and figure out. I was thinking about this today, actually, yesterday. What kind of, you know how there's like 100 types of flags now?
Yeah.
For everything. What if there was like a gay conservative flag or a non-leftist LGBT flag? What would that look like? And I was thinking of that, and I feel like we need that at this point. We need people to know we don't believe what these people believe, and we're still LGBT. We don't have like a group for like a name for us.
Yeah.
Like the new name that they came up with is queer. It's like an all-encompassing term, and I've never met a queer, like I've never met a person that identifies as queer that is not leftist, not once.
Same.
I just or non-binary, same thing.
Same.
So we need to come up with like a term. Maybe that was super lesbian and super gay. I don't know. Like the super straight movement.
Yeah, like see,
I don't know.
I disagree on the flag things because, first of all, these flags are getting out of control.
I don't think we should create a
They're
flag.
out of control. We got too many flags going on. It's starting to look like military rankings, like the amount of flags. And I think people put too much emphasis behind flags anyway, because on the opposite side, like I'll see people that get upset about, for example, the Confederate flag, and they'll say that's racist. I'm like, imagine being upset about a piece of fabric. Like I have things to do.
I also know people that live in Florida that are Black that enjoy the Confederacy flag, not because they think it's racist, because they believe it is a symbol of Southern pride. Mm-hmm. Which is an interesting take. I didn't hear until I moved down here.
I've heard that before. Yeah.
Yeah, Southern pride. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Make it what it means to you, I guess. Like whatever.
Yeah. Damn. I had a question to follow up on that. It'll come to me in a second, and I just had a brain fart about it.
That's all right.
Damn it.
Was it the gay flags?
Something about gay flags. It was a little bit before gay flags. I lost it.
That's all right.
I'll come back. I'll come back. We have Andrew Joyner who just wanted a super chat to say, "Sub bitches, love y'all." Uh,
Love you guys.
oh man, let me read some other super chats here. Dustin
Hey,
Campbell.
Mel.
Dustin Campbell says, "Gothic, you remind me of Candace Owens. You got the fiery personality that scares the left." Thank you for. I don't want to scare anybody. I just want to
I
talk.
think they do need to be scared. I do.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I do. I think I had a conversation with Elijah, and he's in Dallas on the show You Are Here with Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't you on the show recently?
Yeah, yeah.
Did you fly out there? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had a conversation about COVID and stuff, and he's like, I'm so sick of this. He's like, I think we need to be mean to them, and I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I think we need to straight up be like, you would have, what did he say? You would have turned in the Jews to the Nazis.
Mm.
He said that, and I was like, oof. Like, you're not even saying that to me, and that's a lot.
Yeah.
Like, we need to start saying that to them to make them actually feel bad and to see how what they're doing is human rights violation. And I'm like, maybe you're right. Maybe that's what we need to turn this around. I don't know the answer.
I'm very torn by that.
Yeah.
And I have tried, because like I try to come off as very calm and collected when I have these conversations. Even when I'm dealing with someone that's being deliberately combative with me, I try to remain very calm, because
Libra, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Duh. Because like the last thing I want is for people, because not everyone has that self-control or that self-awareness to keep their cool, and I don't want this back and forth, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't know. I almost think that I think the solution might just be leading by example. Like, if we're able to communicate with people that are on the sidelines, not necessarily the ones that are screaming and that are already combative, because I don't think we're going to reach all those people. I think, unfortunately, a lot of those people are gone.
They're yeah, I was going to say they're far
They're gone.
They're lost causes, yeah.
Yeah, who knows? They could wake up someday, you know,
never know.
in their own time.
Interesting fact.
Mhm.
People that are susceptible to cults, you will find that once they leave the left, they will go to the far right, because the far right is also, in my opinion, very culty. So it's not unheard of for somebody like that, who is like a screaming, ranting, crazy person, to just switch sides completely and just be a screaming, ranting person on the other side. It's like a mental thing.
Interesting.
There have been studies about that too. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's where I am. I'm just like, okay, because some days I have my limits. I'm just like, really, you're gonna yell at me for no reason? Okay, and then I'll get like, okay. So I gotta just like, hey, keep it calm, and just, you know, try to kill him with kindness, I guess. But yeah. Let's see. We got one here from Seriously Short of Normal, who says, "What's your take on BLM having all black representation removed from marketing in every sector? For example, Land O'Lakes, Aunt Jemima, etc."
Yeah. I know. It's like, I don't know how to answer that, because I feel like I don't know how that would feel, because it hasn't been done to the gays yet. How does that make
you guys are everywhere? What do you?
That's what I'm saying. No, but they haven't removed us.
Yeah.
I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's stupid. I think it's. I think it's like you got so woke you went backwards, so to speak.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what it is. It's. Yeah.
Aunt Jemima was offensive somehow.
Seriously, I remember talking about that, and then I remember, and this is the thing, is like, I think that some people believe this woke stuff and some people don't, and will still try to like stand by it. Like how I said, a lot of people are still standing by the fact that they voted for Biden when clearly he's doing a fabulous job. Clearly.
Well, if you don't, you're gonna get posted on the Biden's L's Twitter page.
Ah, yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, it's a great Twitter page.
Oh yes,
all the people that regret voting for him, they're like, it's great.
But I remember talking about this, and I remember writing about it. I'm like, I have never walked in the grocery store and just been so triggered by looking at Aunt Jemima or Uncle Ben on the shelf, and then the amount of people that would write paragraphs about systemic racism and stereotypes and all this shit. I'm like, you guys are making you're really stretching here. Like, you're reaching for something that doesn't matter at all.
Also, can we talk about the privilege that these people actually have, that they have the time to write about these things? Correct. Like, when I'm not going to compare myself. I'll compare it to a friend of mine. My friend's husband's white, works 3 jobs. White guy, 3 jobs. He doesn't have time to sit home and bitch about ridiculous things like that. He works his ass off to support his family. He's white though. Mm-hmm. 3 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
3 jobs for 15 years now. 15 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's
Another example of that, because I've used a similar analogy, is like all of the combativeness you'll see with people when they are referred to with the wrong pronoun. I'm sure you're aware of this, okay?
I hate it. Hate it.
And the comparison I make is like there are gay people in other countries that are getting stoned to death
Literally.
or getting thrown off of buildings, okay?
Literally.
And you're complaining about pronouns.
Of course they are. Yeah, of course they are. Also, lesbians and gay men have been like misgendered for years.
Right.
You ever see like a super butch lesbian? Somebody calls them sir. They're like, whatever.
Whatever. It's whatever. Why are you gonna waste your time on that? You have things to do.
They don't know. They go to the men's store, the men's hair barbershop, get their hair cut. The gay men go shopping with the women. Not that I would say lesbians get misgendered more than gay men do. But I don't know one lesbian that's ever gotten offended. In fact, I know one lesbian that got offended for the opposite reason when I was like more into the woke ideology. I remember it was like 4 or 5 years ago. I ran into a super butch lesbian who I thought could have been a trans man. And I was like, what are your pronouns? She was like, how fucking dare you ask me that? I'm a lesbian, I'm a woman. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, big mistake. Big mistake. Oh my God. And I never did it again after that. I was like, you know what? The odds are it's probably going to be a butch lesbian versus a trans person that doesn't pass on purpose that would get offended.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you know what I mean? Like it was too woke for me, and I was like, okay, let me just like go by what makes sense.
Yeah.
And I just never looked back.
Yeah, I don't even like I think that's so yuck. Just asking like, what's your pronouns and everything.
Also, it's also narcissistic because like 99% of the time you use somebody's pronouns, they're not even in your presence.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Come on, baby.
Yeah, that's weird. We got a comment here from Faringer Xbox who says, I am a lesbian trapped in a man's body just like Bruce Jenner. Okay. They also have another comment here that says, there is someone in Connecticut reading this chat with their mask on in their own home. Yes, probably.
I would not doubt it.
I absolutely believe it.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I gotta go in 2 minutes. My cat. Let me
get
my cat.
Hey, that is definitely okay. No problem.
Come on, baby, go.
I have enjoyed this conversation, Ariel. We got to do this again.
Yeah. No, I will. I'm also when it gets warmer out, I'll come up to Rhode Island.
Yeah.
See you.
No, but we're serious. I want to go to Florida. I want to hang out.
Come to St. Pete. Everybody's down here.
Okay.
Come stay a week. We'll rent an Airbnb and make a ton of content. You can write it off as a business expense.
Okay. All right.
That's what I do when I travel.
I mean, that's smart, yeah. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and end it here. Let everyone know where they can find you. I know you mentioned your travel plans coming up, but plug whatever you want. Any final words you want to give the audience?
Think for yourself and stop listening to what the mob says and stop being afraid. Because once you find your true path, everything else lines up for you. That's more of a spiritual saying, but it's the truth.
I
thought things were going to end for me, and things opened up for me once I left.
It sucked for a while, but
it
got better.
It takes time. You got to give it time to align, but yeah.
Stand your ground, everyone. All right, dope. Ariel, thank you so much for hanging out with me on the stream. As far as everyone else, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed this conversation. If you have a suggestion for someone else that I should have on the show, let me know in the comments as well. And I think that is it. Everyone, my name is Gothix. This is The Grift, and I will see you next time. Bye!